Hi everyone, it's Dominic from the msguide.com, and today we're joined by Dr. Helen Ford from Leeds. Helen's going to take us through probably the best ways from her point of view as a consultant on how to get the most out of your interactions with the healthcare system, because I know it frustrates a lot of you. And we're going to start that now. Hi Helen, can you tell us a bit about yourself, please?
Thanks, Dominic. Thanks very much for asking me to join you this afternoon. So I'm a NHS consultant neurologist with a specialist interest in MS. I'm also interested in research, and so I have a linked post at the University of Leeds as a clinical associate professor at the university.
Helen, I hear again and again and again people who strike me as extremely frustrated with their attempts to engage with the NHS. They know in theory that it's got all this stuff, but they find it an uphill battle sometimes. From your point of view as a consultant, what would you advise patients to do to get the most out of the system?
Okay, so I think the important thing is to think about what you want out of the consultation, really. So what's your main aim when you're coming to see us? And, what things perhaps, depending on what stage of MS you're at, what things do you not understand? So if you're at an early stage of diagnosis, a lot of people have heard of MS, but some people haven't heard of MS and don't know anybody with MS. So they, you really want to understand more about MS and to understand more about, what possible treatments there are, what the future holds for you. And so I think it's important to sort of come to your meeting with your neurologist or your MS specialist nurse with some thoughts beforehand, around what are the real things that if you are feeling frustrated, what's that about really? And just to give that some thought. Sometimes people find it helpful just to sort of put some stuff on their phone around specific questions, and I find that really useful because then we can go through that together and I can know where you're coming from, and and then we focus on the things that are important to you. Do you know what I mean? So then we can expand on those areas. So I think that's the most important thing, is actually a bit of preparation before you come along. And if there are things that have been frustrating or perhaps things that you've read about, then going through that with your neurologist or your MS nurse can really, really help, actually, because often you can have people who, maybe your family or friends who are suggesting lots of things to you, and it becomes very confusing. And so sometimes just being able to kind of chat through that with an MS specialist can really help to sort of clear things up and get a bit of a better view of what MS is and what treatments are possible, for instance.
Okay, that's great. I think a lot of people will have been told that. Sometimes I think we need to repeat this because it's such a shocking thing to get diagnosed with MS. Some of the things they fall out of your head, don't they? They come in and they just sort of go straight through. What would you say the biggest difference in terms of a patient accessing the care and stuff between you, the consultant, who's obviously looking at them in a very detailed medical way and prescribing drugs, and their MS nurse, who to me provides this wraparound care?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, I would hope that as a consultant, you still have a holistic view of the person with MS that you're seeing. So I actually feel very strongly around, different issues that actually consultants should not be ignoring those. So for instance, I think, as you know, I'm doing quite a lot of research in employment in MS, and I don't think it's one specific member of the team's job to ask about jobs, if you see what I mean. So,
Yeah.
and to understand a bit more about the person, so, about their life and caring responsibilities, family, etc. But I think, over time, actually, consultant neurologists have had to really spend more time working on disease modifying treatments, risks, benefits, switching treatments. So that has taken some of that time away. And even for some of the MS nurses, but I think our nurses do a really good sort of screening with people with MS, where they work through all of the different issues like lifestyle issues, you know, things that are potentially not great if you have MS, like smoking or drinking too much alcohol. You know, are you exercising? All of those things. I think it's really important that they're part of your MS care, because there's a big role for self-management. And I think self-management is really important because it gives you some control of your MS. And I think, you know, we know about the brain health guide, and we know more and more evidence really around how some of our, you know, lifestyle factors and other illnesses can have an impact on MS. So I think the MS nurses perhaps spend a bit more time going through all of these different issues, which gives a much better overview and also helps managing self-care as well.
You touched on one of my favorite topics because I think, firstly, you get the first year to just go completely loopy. You know, you're like, wow. And, but then, yeah, it's down to you. You got to own it. You got to, I mean, and this is from a guy who came to this kind of late in the party, you know, but diet, exercise, you know, these things, you know, because ultimately, I think, and it sounds a bit harsh, but no one's looking out for you really apart from yourself. You know, your nurse might move, your doctor might move, etc. Um, you've got to look out for yourself as well. But I mean, the MS nurses, they've got, in my experience, access to they've got the time. You're super busy, you know, you're seeing lots of patients. The MS nurses can give you more time. And then they know where so much stuff is and how to access it, and the neurophysio. Or I was getting divorced, and this was over 10 years ago. And I just had a bad accident too. So I was drugged out of my head on morphine. And she sat me down, this consultant said, the nurse told me what's happening. I've written you a letter. And I didn't even know I needed it, but it made a huge difference apparently in the settlement. It wasn't a combative settlement, but it was just
Mhm.
bang. I read it and sort of thought I was kind of depressed. I didn't realize how messed up I was.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a partnership, isn't it? And I think one of the things is that, you know, obviously disease modifying treatments are part of treatment for people with MS, but not for everybody with MS at the moment. And so, but even for those people who are on highly effective disease modifying treatments, we need to be thinking about the other things as well. So have you got high blood pressure, or are you diabetic? And looking after your general health is so important in combination with, you know, other treatments recommended by your neurologist.
Yeah, and it was Dr. Singer in the States who's one of his top tips was take it seriously.
Mm,
Even if it doesn't feel like anything's going on right now, take it seriously. If you get a diagnosis, they didn't just happen on it. You
mm.
know, which I think is very difficult, especially for males. You know, we like to go, I'm fine, I'm just gonna carry on.
Adjustment is tough. I mean, I don't think we should underplay that. You know, it's not easy to adjust, and it does take time, because now, you know, I've been an MS consultant since 1998. So, you know, yeah, I see. You know, I've, you know, been part of a care team for people with MS for over many years, and I've lived with them through the very tricky times at the start of diagnosis. And, you know, as you say, some people can be quite angry and frustrated, but it's a process, I think, that we would all go through, you know, when we get a new diagnosis. And so it is part of the fact that it's not always going to be like that, I suppose, because that time at the start is so tough, isn't it? And it isn't always going to be like that. And you have got a team that is there for you, you know, to support you.
As a final question, if I can ask you, let me end on a bit of a toughie because we both know that people sometimes relationships break down. And if somebody's that unhappy and that dissatisfied in the UK, what can you do if you say, that's it, I can't work with this team anymore? Then I've spoken to a couple of people who've just felt that they've almost cut themselves off, but now they're adrift and they don't know what to do now. You know, what are the options available to somebody? Is it go back to your GP and be re-referred? I mean, what is it? How does it work?
There are obviously some single-handed MS specialists, but most of us work as part of teams, even though it is in a regional team. So often even within teams, so for instance, for us in Leeds, there are 3 MS consultants. And I think, if there is a breakdown of a relationship, the neurologist probably knows that as well. So one of the steps is your neurologist can refer you to one of the colleagues. And actually, we do that within our service, because not everybody is going to get on with everybody, are they? And you may have come to an impasse about an issue, but otherwise, obviously, in the NHS, you're always entitled to a second opinion. But if you felt as a person you might want to be seen at a different centre, then you can ask for your GP to refer you to another
Your
centre.
GP is that sort of link point. You need to go back to your GP and ask them to send you somewhere else. Hey, Helen, I really appreciate your time turning up today. I know you're super busy. So from me and from everybody else, thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Dominic.
Cheers,
Thank
Helen.
you.
Bye-bye.